Commission meeting September 16th, 2024 at 6:30. I welcome all of you to the meeting. Join me in a moment of silent prayer. Follow the pledge of allegiance to the flag. Next on the agenda, PC presentation by Mr. Foss and Dr. Senior. Thank you.
So we good? Thank you. Thank you. Commissioners, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am Colonel Retired Antonio Foster, Chairman of the Piedmont Community College Board of Trustees, and I'm accompanied by Dr. Pamela Senegal, President of Piedmont Community College. First and foremost, we want to thank all of the commissioners, past and present, for your extraordinary support of Piedmont Community College. We dearly thank you. But today, it is with great honor that we take a moment to recognize the outstanding contributions of one Mr. Jeremiah Jeffries, Chairman of the Caswell County Board of Commissioners. For 28 years, am I correct?
32.
32.
Yeah.
I'm incorrect. Let me just repeat that again so I'll make sure. For 32 years, Chairman Jeffries has been an unwavering advocate for education and community development throughout Caswell County. His tireless dedication and steadfast support has significantly impacted the lives of many, including those within our academic community. Under Chairman Jeffries' leadership, Caswell County has seen remarkable progress and growth, ensuring that opportunities for education and advancement are accessible to all. His commitment to fostering collaborations between local governments and educational institutions like ours has been instrumental in driving positive change. Chairman Jeffries has been an enormous motivator for PCC as we live out our mission of transforming lives, strengthening communities, and inspiring individuals to excellence. Today, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to Chairman Jeffries for his invaluable support, his vision, his leadership, and his passion for our community, which serves as an inspiration to us all. Now, in the military, we have reduced the word leadership to an acronym, LDR SHIP, which stands for loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. We can honestly say that Commissioner Jeffries has consistently embodied these valuable characteristics in his daily walk. Ladies and gentlemen, commissioners, please join us in expressing our deepest appreciation to Chairman Jeffries for his 32 years of exemplary service and unwavering dedication to the betterment of Caswell County and its citizens. Thank you so much, sir. We want to get a picture. We have a plaque for you. We're gonna get right here in front of your chair here. Let me read this also here. It says, "In deep appreciation for your support and dedication to Piedmont community."
Thank you, Caswell County and Piedmont Community College. The next on the agenda will be public hearing. Visit year 26 Community Transportation Program. Mrs. Williamson.
Good evening.
Chairman, if we could entertain a motion to go into the public hearing.
I need a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Motion made by Rick, second by Jim. All in favor saying aye. All opposed? Close. Thank you. Motion carried. We sit down in public. Ms. Williams.
Good evening. Caswell County Area Transportation System is required to complete the Community Transportation Grant application and the capital call for project grant application for fiscal year 2025-26 by October the 4th, 2024. We are required to hold a public hearing on the proposed projects to allow members of the community the opportunity to comment on the transportation needs and the grant application. We are requesting 4 replacement buses, tablets for the buses, office furniture, and in the FY 2026 capital grant application. We are requesting administrative funding in the 5311 CTP application. The Capital 5310 purchase of service objective is to provide transportation services that meet the special needs of elderly persons and persons with disabilities to whom mass transportation services are unavailable, insufficient, or inappropriate. We need to have the resolution put to a vote to duly adopt the program resolution. All local matching funds required are transportation dollars. No ad valorem tax dollars are required for the operation of CATS. CATS is operating as a standalone enterprise fund. And in the 5311 administrative, we're requesting $138,869, and the local share is $20,830, which would be CATS enterprise funds. And the combined capital is $494,297, and the local match will be $49,431, and that will also come out of the enterprise funds. And the 5310 capital purchase of service, $20,000, and the local match will actually come out of the rope E&D funds that we apply for every year to match that one. So the total amount being requested is $653,166, and the local share, including the E&D funds, will be $72,261.
Okay, you need a motion to approve this.
And to adopt the resolution.
Okay, any question from both of them? Okay, I need a motion, or we wait to go to closed session, make the motion.
Mr. Chairman, if you could see if anyone else is here tonight to speak during the public hearing.
Anyone here would like to speak on the public hearing? Come on out.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Is this already budgeted approved?
This is for FY '26. This is not FY '25. The state works a year in advance. So this is for us to be able to pull these funds in for FY '26. But our FY '25 has already been budgeted for. And we've already had all this done for it.
Any other board member? We need to hear from the public now. You have any other?
That's it.
We need a motion to go out of closed section and then we'll vote on this.
Second.
Motion was Tim, second by Hope. All in favor saying aye. Opposed, we now set into open section. We have a motion that needs to be.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion made by Rose, who second? Second by Rick. All in favor saying aye. All opposed, carried unanimous.
Thank you.
We need a motion next to go back into closed section. Let me get my notes. For public hearing public hearing assessment dwelling unit ordinance. We need a motion to go into closed section.
Second.
Made by Ms. Tim, second by Rose. All in favor saying aye. All opposed, now set to closed section. Mr. Waller.
Mr. Chair, Board Manager, Attorney Johnson. Thank you for the opportunity tonight. I am Jason Watlington, the Planning Director. Tonight, I'll be discussing a new ordinance for ADUs, accessory dwelling unit. In early 2022, state legislation in an effort to promote diversity in housing passed a bill, or introduced, I will say, House Bill 409. It would require that all local governments to allow the addition of an ADU, or accessory dwelling unit, to be built or placed alongside of a primary dwelling. The bill explicitly prohibits local authorities from imposing traditional zoning or ordinance restraints. Local governments must permit the establishment of at least one ADU per lot. This afternoon, Attorney Johnston and myself did determine that this bill is still under review and is not mandated at this time. Many, if not most, North Carolina counties have already adopted this ADU, or accessory dwelling, in their ordinance. Rockingham County, Person County, Roxborough, Guilford, Stokes, to name a few. So they have already placed this into their ordinance and begin regulating. So I want to tell you a little bit about ADUs. So an ADU can be attached or detached from the primary dwelling. For this purpose of the ordinance, we will be regulating detached ADUs. The ADU must have a bedroom, must have a bathroom, and a kitchen. So a tiny house, if you will. The ADU must comply with North Carolina Residential Building Code and the Fire Prevention Code. Local governments are allowed, however, to set certain standards. Through researching other North Carolina counties, one of the more common standards is the type of construction and also the size. The bill states that the ADU must be less square feet than the primary dwelling. Therefore, we can specifically set a minimum and maximum square footage. This bill does, however, not suggest any particular construction type other than it must comply with the building and fire code. So we feel that due to the cost of new construction and the continued inflation rates, along with stagnant wages, more and more people are looking for various or more efficient ways to construct a home, hence tiny homes. And they're becoming a very popular type of dwelling. You passed an amendment last month to better control the use of RVs. This was a step in the direction to better regulate types of housing in Caswell County. And I should say permanent dwellings in Caswell County. So this new ordinance will allow a more economical option. However, it will require specific guidelines. The concept of ADUs goes back years ago. They were known as granny flats. This was a small secondary home used to take care of a grandmother or a grandfather or someone with mentally ill or physically challenged family members. I've had citizens inquire about these types of structures lately, as a matter of fact, and some examples. The son is getting married, can't afford rent, can't afford to build a house right now. We as parents have land, so why not build them a small home right beside of ours in order for them to be able to afford and become independent? Grandmother or mother needs to be closer so we can take care of her, but she still wants her own space. My daughter has a mental illness and needs to be close, but also somewhat independent. So the planning board has set the county's requirements, and I would like to go over these with you. Construction type. State does not regulate. However, the planning board is proposing stick-built, modular, or off-site built, must have an engineer stamp, and then the interior must be finished. And I'll elaborate on that. We all know of a modular. It has a modular sticker. So this would not be a mobile home. None of our surrounding counties are allowing mobile homes or RVs to be used as ADUs. Stick built, simply stated, a contractor comes onto your property and builds a small stick-built home. Off-site stick-built, meaning a type of pre-manufactured shed style. Now, it has to be engineered. It has to come to Caswell County with no interior walls built, no electrical wiring done, no above head insulation done. This will allow our building inspectors to move through this project and make sure it follows building code. With the engineer stamp, we already know the shell will follow code. This will have to be on a permanent foundation. It will have to be strapped or tied to the ground, placed on cinder block with a poured footing under the cinder block. So this will not be a simple shed that you go buy for your lawnmower, take out, throw some cinder block under it, and call it done. Maximum square footage. As I said, the state requires that we go less square footage, but allows us to make our own determination. From surrounding counties, we have developed an 800 square foot maximum. only one ADU per lot, says the state. Property owner must own both, however, may rent out one or the other. So says the state. An ADU can be sold, however, it must be removed from the property. Therefore, the owner has to own both. So if he were to sell, then he would be giving up ownership. 1 acre minimum site will maintain as our county ordinance states. They will be allowed an additional 30,000 square feet. So in other words, right now, if you have an acre of land, you can have 1 dwelling. You cannot place a second dwelling on that property unless you have 2 acres of land. If you are building a multifamily housing unit with a well and a septic, an additional 30,000 square foot of land would allow you to build that multifamily housing unit per our ordinance. So 1 3/4 acres would allow that. So we would like to simply use that math for our ADU. You will not have to have a full 2 acres of land for that small ADU, but you will have to have 1.75 acres if it requires a separate septic system. A little about septic systems. Most homes now are designed with a septic system being just efficient enough to run that primary dwelling. Very seldom do you run across a septic system that is going to accommodate a future home. Therefore, if for some reason you built a 2-bedroom home and you put in a 3-bedroom septic system, then you would be allowed to connect this ADU to that septic system. But that is really not common, especially here in Castle County. They will allow you to connect to the electric of the house, so 1 meter. So an electrician would be allowed to come in and do that. And also be allowed to use the well. This is all advice from the state on how they would want this ordinance to be written. Minimum 10 foot from a primary dwelling placed behind the front building line of the primary dwelling. So we would not allow this building to sit in front of the primary dwelling. Again, must be on a permanent foundation. It must comply with our county setbacks for a primary dwelling. For ADUs in the Hyco Lake zoning district, the ADU would be required to have a special use permit with supplemental regulations. The ordinance shall not take precedence over subdivision restrictive covenants or homeowner associations guidelines. So you may ask, can I put a tiny home on an acre of land without a primary dwelling? As long as it follows code and building inspections is able to come out and inspect the home, yes. I guess the great thing about an ADU is the possibility of being able to use existing infrastructure from the primary dwelling. Being able to accommodate that special person that needs it. So while I'm not seeing this as a state mandated ordinance, I am seeing other counties as close by as our next door neighbors starting to look at this. I'm seeing people living in the Amish sheds right now, with no regulation. So while this will allow us to regulate more, it will also help our community. And I'd much rather see a stick-built home than someone living in an RV. RVs are great, but I just feel like if it's economical for them to buy a stick-built type structure that's even pre-built and turn it into a home, then I think they will be better in the future with that. Are there any questions?
Any board member?
I've got one for you, Mr. Wallington. I know you said, let's see. Property owner must own both, however, may rent out, correct?
Correct.
So am I interpreting this correct that I could have or anybody could have a rental house, build an ADU beside it and rent out both?
You have to reside in one.
So the property owner has to live in one.
Correct. Correct.
Good enough. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else? Anyone in public would like to speak on this? I think we need a motion to go out of closed session.
Mr. Chair, I would like to invite Attorney Johnson to speak
Okay.
if the board pleases.
Right on.
Mr. Chairman, I'll just mention briefly, following up on what Wallington indicated about this housing option not being mandated by the state of North Carolina. In your consistency statement in the agenda packet, the last sentence reads as follows. It states further, this particular residential housing option is mandated by the state of North Carolina effective October 2023 per House Bill 409. That House bill is still pending in the legislature, so it hasn't been enacted into law yet. So the conversation that Mr. Wallington and I had was that it may be wise to err on the side of caution and let the planning board revisit this ordinance at their next regularly scheduled meeting on September 24th, so that they can be aware that this law actually isn't mandated. It is within the discretion of Caswell County, and the General Assembly allows Caswell County to regulate these types of structures through North Carolina General Statute 160D. However, this isn't mandated yet. So I would advise the board to review this, but postpone any action until your next regularly scheduled meeting.
Else, I need a motion to go out of closed section, then we can make a motion to. Motion made by Rita, second by Hope. All in favor, saying aye. Aye. All opposed, now sets an open section. We probably need a motion to table this later.
Second.
Motion made by Rita, second by Tim. All in favor, saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wallington. Next on the agenda will be publish comments. Ms. Hodges.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Amanda Hodges. I live at 1628 Road, Ruffin, North Carolina. I wanted to touch base this morning or afternoon, evening, because I'm here to update the timeline from the information shared at the last commissioner meeting on September 3rd, 2024, when I was unexpectedly asked to speak on this particular issue. For the record, the information I brought to you at the last meeting on September 3rd stated that both the town councils of Yanceyville and Milton had already approved the TDA as an ex officio on the Caswell County Economic Development Commission. It was brought to my attention that the timeline I reported needed to be updated as the town council in Yanceyville had not yet met at the time of the meeting due to Labor Day, and I was mistaken. I thought they had. So subsequently, the council has met. They met last week, and they did approve that seat, that ex officio position on the Economic Development Board, and their council has met and everything is passed. So just wanted to make sure I had that correction on the timeline for the record. Thank you.
Thank you. Next would be Mrs. Moore.
Commissioner Jeffries, I apologize. We should have read this statement before Ms. Hodges spoke, but if I could read this statement briefly, would that?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Each speaker will speak from the podium and begin their remarks by giving their name and stating whether or not they are residents of the county. Comments will be directed to the full board. Speaker comments are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes during the public comment period. Speakers must be courteous in their language and presentation. Personal attacks will not be tolerated. The Board of Commissioners or the administration will not provide responses during public comments period or in the same meeting. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Shannon Mortz, 1117 Deer Trail in Cherry Grove, and I'm so excited to be here tonight over something good and positive. I am here tonight to speak in support of the mural project that the Arts Council is doing. Maud Florence Gatewood, who died in November of 2004 at the age of 70, is considered by art historians, curators, museum directors, and collectors as one of the most important painters in North Carolina history. She achieved national and international recognition for her work, but apparently her heart never left Caswell because she kept coming home. In addition to being a highly successful artist, Gatewood also served on this board from 1976 to 1980 as the county's first female commissioner. I did not know her, but historical accounts describe her as very outspoken and direct, someone who stood firmly on her principles. And so I suspect that she probably ruffled a few feathers. And I know that she loved this community. She came back, she served, she gave of herself, and then she gave of her estate, land, and paintings gifted for the public good. She wanted Caswell County to thrive and the people who live here to have every opportunity to get ahead. As one of Caswell's most famous daughters, it makes total sense for her to be included on the mural here in downtown Yanceyville. Western North Carolina has been absolutely buzzing about all things Maud Gatewood for months since a temporary exhibit of her work opened at a museum in Boone. I find it really cool that Caswell County is home to artists and craftsmen like Maud Gatewood and Thomas Day, and I think that we should be really proud of that and celebrate it. This mural gives us the opportunity to do that, and it comes with some pretty cool community engagement, culture, and tourism benefits. So I enthusiastically encourage you to support this project.
Okay. Next would be Ms. Ward. Ms. Ward. Mr. Ward. Mizzy.
Mike in Virginia Ward, live in Caswell County. Got broke into on some property we have, me and my wife. And I found it on August 22nd. And anyway, I went by the store, the deputies was up at the little seat and they'd been up there over an hour that morning. They was there when I went to the property. And anyway, I got one of them, 3 of them come down there. They was laughing and joking and everything. So had about $8,000 to $10,000 worth of tools, 3 storage trailers broke in, the house broke into, And, like I say, I asked them, they need to get in the camper. The camper, they knocked a hole in the slide out, pulled the wind out and everything, and they told me no. So once they left, I turned around, when we got in the camper, found drugs in the camper. I called 911, I couldn't get them back, and they called me, that was on a Thursday morning. They called me back Monday morning. So Saturday morning, they got more drugs out of the camper. They treat my wife bad. They come in and made her lay the gun down, unloaded the gun. And then they took pictures on Saturday. They didn't take no pictures on Thursday before. So it's, I went in Monday morning to see the sheriff, and I was told I couldn't see him, had to go through chain of command. And so that was the Monday morning following the Thursday after. So the sheriff called me on the 10th. And I talked to him a few minutes, but it's like we ain't getting nowhere. Everybody you see, they want to give you the runaround. So that's about it. The sheriff told me he had an open door policy when he called me on the 10th. It's a whole lot different from the 22nd to the 10th. And I told him when I go to vote, maybe I'll just go turn around and go through chain of command.
Thank you. Ms. Fair? Ms. Fair? F-A-I-R?
I am Julia Fair. I reside at 53 West Main Street in Yanceyville. I would like to read a letter from Alice Shelton, who was a journalist who covered a lot of the Caswell County meetings during the time that Maud Gatewood was a part of this community. As far as I understand, she covered a lot of what Maud Gatewood did with this community, especially representing the community. So I would like to read this and then offer my support also in regards to the mural project for the Art Council. But for the letter from Alice Shelton, it says, Commissioner, I want to address your concerns about the mural. I was a journalist covering the county commissioners when she was a member. She was always prepared to listen to everyone's concerns. She treated all citizens fairly, including farmers. It is an honor that the Arts Council was selected to receive this grant to showcase all these worthy citizens. I grew up on a dairy farm in the Blanche community, and my late grandfather was a tobacco farmer. I know the importance of farming to Caswell. However, this mural isn't about farming or farmers. So comments someone may or may not have said about the farming community don't have a bearing on this situation. I ask that you approve this project. Signed, Alice Shelton. Aside from that, I would like to just make note of that this project is being supported by the Art Council and promoted by the Art Council. It is also funded by one of the most prestigious, if not the most prestigious, or arts organization in our nation. And as an Art Council with an art project, to have concerns over the most prominent artists from this community to be represented or not represented on this is concerning to me. So I would really like to just make a note of that I would really like people to be thinking about that. It is a great honor and a great privilege to be able to start some sort of art projects here. And yes, this is the first one. It doesn't have to be the only one. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is Thomason.
My name is Benton K. Covington Thompson. I'm a resident of Caswell County, live in the Blanche community, retired employee of the Caswell County Health Department, a graduate of Bartlett Yancey High School, and a long and varied experience as a registered nurse since 1965. The most wonderful words heard at the time of a newborn delivery is a perfect baby. But as life and living have shown us, none of us are perfect and never will be. We are all a work in progress, and we all have our prejudices, even if we deny them. A very important definition I learned many years ago is health is a state of complete physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being, not merely the absence of a disease. And I'm afraid none of us will qualify for that at all times. We enter life and experience it with a variety of good and not so good poker chips, be it material plenty or poverty, physical good health or poor, emotional stability or abuse and neglect, spiritual nurturing or absence or radically forced beliefs. As our world grows smaller in the United States, our state, and our county, with the evolving of many cultures, religious beliefs, races, and many other important identities evolve, it is vital that we educate ourselves to these variables and recognize that exclusion from or hate of can only harm our world and our domain and cause us to be uninviting to new people and industries. Changes cause much fear, and education of differences reduce these fears. Denial about these changes exists and are counterproductive. I am one of a part of the founding members of a group with diverse age, sexual identities, racial, religious backgrounds, and varied life experiences of this virtually important organization, the Caswell County Human Relations Commission. We are evolving and learning of ways to help us as one of many groups and individuals stretch our minds and hearts to grow in healthy ways and discourage discrimination and be advocates of those who perceive they are subject to discrimination. As our commissioners, I believe it is vital to you as our leaders to strive to grow, to identify and learn how you and those under your leadership can embrace greater opportunities to learn inclusion along with us and others interested at no expense. At our initial REI Phase 1 training in Caswell County, October 17th and 18th in Yanceyville, and information is closed. I'm going to pass this on to Frank and let him pass it around. Commissioner Rose, excuse me. So I think it's very important that that the commissioners appoint 1 or 2 people to serve on this, come to this educational opportunity so that we can aid in showing compassion, caring leadership for Caswell County and its residents. I want to thank you for your time and service. And I'll pass this to Commissioner Rose.
Ms. Hill?
Good evening. My name is Sharon Hill. I live at 170 Julia Street, and I'm born and raised in Caswell County, and I've been away most of my adult life. I am honored to be able to speak to this board today, partly because it just allows me the opportunity to participate in the civil life of Caswell County and to exercise my rights as a citizen. But it's also doubly a pleasure because it gives me a chance to support the Caswell Arts Council. I am here speaking in support of the mural project. And when I was making the decision about whether to return to Caswell County at this stage in my life and contribute and participate with the skills that I've been using around the state and across the country in the last few years, the Arts Council programs weighed into that decision because I had the opportunity to stay with my parents during the last 6 months of their life here in Caswell County while I was caretaking. And the arts, I was so impressed with the arts programs and offerings that the quality of that contributed to the quality of my life and continues to contribute to the quality of my life since I've returned to Caswell County. I also want to offer my support of the project because I see the value in it for the community, both as a cultural touchstone and as a representation of the rich and varied history of Caswell County and the contribution of its prominent citizens. I think that all 4 of the people who will be recognized in the mural have contributed greatly, not just to the life of Caswell County, although that's a definite fact, but all of them also participated in such a way as to contribute to the wider state and in some cases, the world. And each one of them, Maud Gatewood, Nicholas Longworth Dillard, Henrietta Jeffries, and Earl Watlington, have all been examples of excellence as citizens and as human beings. And when people even drive through our town, we want to be represented by our best. And as the person who spoke earlier said, this may be maybe the first mural, but it doesn't have to be the only one. There is so much history and culture and value in the county that I could foresee having many expressions of that in the county. I'm sure that we all want to be governed by facts and not innuendo or suspicions. And I've heard that some of the concerns about this project had to do with some things that someone may have said, but that the official record represents that those comments by Maud Gatewood were not made in any official capacity, and that she, being the first woman to serve on the county commissioners, as well as an artist of national note, if not international note. I first was exposed to her work at the North Carolina Museum of Art in Raleigh. And family connected her to the house on the square. And so, but growing up here, I hadn't learned enough about her for her name to be in my mind and recognizable. So I'm getting off track here, but I wanted to say definitely that I support the mural project, and I think it will add value to our public persona and presentation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Williamson.
My name is Kent Williamson. I preside at 562 Graves Road, Reedsville, North Carolina. Commissioner Jefferson and other commissioners, I'm here to make an announcement, an invitation, also celebrating the community services of Jeremiah Jefferson, County Commissioner, Gladys Garland, School Board, and to remember the contributions of Nate Hall, County Commissioner Chair. This celebration will be Saturday, October 5th at 4 o'clock, Blackwell Funeral Home, 143 3rd Avenue, Yanceyville, North Carolina. We will be putting together a booklet to celebrate them. And this booklet will include any advertisements, family portraits, memorials, tributes, special wishes, and any other announcement that you would like to make. The booklet is for one page, $100, $50 for half a page, $25 for a quarter page. It says, remember our retired officials were elected by getting out to vote. Please help make this election successful and resign and recognize and vote. Thank you.
This in the public's comments. Is anyone else that did not sign up would like to speak? All right, this in the public's comments. Next on the agenda will be recognition. We started.
I don't have any, Mr. Chairman.
All right. How about you? Okay, we'll move on then. We need a motion to approve the agenda. Motion made by Rick,
Second.
second by Rose. All in favor saying aye. All opposed, carried unanimous. They also need a motion to approve the consent agenda, September the 3rd, regular meeting minutes.
Second.
Made by Rick, second by Richard. Y'all heard the motion. Any question on it? All in favor saying aye. All opposed. Okay. Next on the agenda will be item ABC both work capital required. Mike, ready?
I don't see Mike here this evening. So the ABC board has put in a formal request to the Board of Commissioners. They're asking for the potential use of $47,294 towards capital improvements of their building. Their building has been built in the 60s and had little to no improvements in that timeframe. They are requesting to use this additional capital, which needs to come before the board if they're to do that. They would like to improve the appearance of the store, upgrading the lighting, new flooring, and exterior improvements, as well as expanding a room so that they have additional sales. They think that the casino and the travel on the route is, the store is extremely busy, but it is small. So I don't see Mike here this evening, but they have put their formal request in to utilize these funds. Under the general statute, these additional excess funds can be reallocated as they're requesting. Of course, the commissioners can always use that for something else if they so choose as well. So I just formally presented their request to you. It's up to you if you wish to proceed. These are additional gross revenues, so it's unanticipated revenue that's above their estimated budget. So they basically made more sales tax than they projected, and those funds are just excess. So they aren't budgeted for expenditure. They would need to. They are not a county entity. The county doesn't own that facility and operate them. It's kind of like the animal shelter. So they're requesting to use those additional funds for building improvements. The county could reallocate those. In the past, they've done some health department improvements. They gave me a list of other things that the county's reallocated those to. So.
Anyone else have a question for county manager? I think this money was $47,200 and some dollars was money that they had left over in reading the minutes, and that they had gave the school a part of the fund and everything. This was extra money that they had setting aside. And that store was built in the 60s, and this is the store that they want to remodel. I think I'm right what I read in it. So what's the pleasure of the vote? We need a motion or something to pass it or whatever. 47,000, I believe, $200 some dollars, something like that.
Mr. Chairman, until somebody from a ABC board can come and answer whatever questions this board might have. I move we table this, or just not take any action at all. Because I know we're talking about building improvements, but I want to know what these improvements are. And I don't believe the county manager has those details, do you?
I've been in there. It's very general. So, yeah, they're just asking for exterior finishes, lighting, flooring. So $47,000 goes pretty quick on those things.
I agree with that, but it's up to the board, but, you know.
We don't want to.
No.
I would go along with Mr. Yarborough in the fact that we don't own the building. They come before us and talk to us about what's going on there before we just say 47,000.
So you have a motion that you proposing to the vote to table this?
That'd be fine. Yes, sir. I'll make that motion.
Second. Y'all heard the motion. Anybody? Vote. All right, I call for the votes. All in favor saying aye. All opposed? Heard unanimous.
I'll make sure they have a representative at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the next. We got to have a motion. It's the Art Council. We got to have a motion to untake this off the table and put it back on the board. Wait a minute, before we can go to what we got. We tabled this, so we need a motion to untable this to come up.
I'll make a motion on the table.
I get a second? Second. Been moved and proper second that we untable the motion. All in favor saying aye. All opposed, carried unanimous. Now we are coming with Mrs. Karen Williamson.
Good evening, Commissioners. And thank you for letting me come back and speak to you in regards to the mural project for the Arts Council and for the community. I'm Karen Williamson, and I'm the Executive Director of the Arts Council here in Caswell County. In regards to, well, actually, just say that I'm gonna just go over a brief synopsis of the mural. I'll take any additional questions that you may have for me. And then I would like to have your vote for the Arts Council to move forward with the process of painting the mural on the side of Co Square. All right, so the brief synopsis is we're going to highlight 4 Caswell County historic icons. Maud Gatewood, Neil Watlington, N.L. Dillard, Henrietta Jeffries. Some of the changes, we've been listening to some of the concerns that you have, and some of the changes that we've agreed to make is that the background or the wallpaper part of the mural will feature the bright leaf tobacco. So that is one change that we will do. Additionally, because Neil Watlington was a war veteran, World War II, fought in the Battle of the Bulge, in lieu of painting him in his Major League Baseball uniform, we're going to paint him in his Army green uniform instead. So that hopefully will address the concern for representing or having someone be represented from the military. Additionally, and I thank everyone who talked in the public comments in support of this. Additionally, I'd like to add another kudos to Maud Gatewood in that in November of 1989, the Thomas Day House suffered a catastrophic fire. That next day, Maud Gatewood, in conjunction with Marian Thomas, they raised, or they started the process of raising $500,000 to do the restoration for the Thomas Day House. Had it not been for the two of those ladies, especially Maud Gatewood, because she donated some of her furniture that was Thomas Day authenticated furniture. She donated that to the museum. Had it not been for Maud Gatewood stepping up to do that for not only the town of Milton, but also for the Thomas Day House, it would not today be the 28th state recognized historic site in the state of North Carolina. And it's the only state recognized historical site here in Caswell County. The mural will definitely help to augment tourism and economic development. We're going to accomplish that by having a QR code so that people can do their own self-guided tour. And that QR code will lead them to various bits of information on each individual. Additionally, 2 years ago, the Arts Council created a documentary called the Veterans of Caswell County, and it features Connie Stedman, Joseph Carter, and Neil Watlington. And so in that QR code, people will also be directed to that video that anyone can see on YouTube. Okay. Thank you for listening to our request. This has been a passion project for Caswell Arts. And I'd like to turn it over to you, the commissioners, for any additional questions that you may have for me before we're hoping that you will allow us to move forward with the project. So, Mr. Jeffries, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, it's in the board member having a question for Ms. Wynn.
We had tabled this to have her have time to look and see if there was anything about escape. And Ms. Smith, did you?
I was not able to locate anything. The minutes from 1976 to 1980, when she was a commissioner, was just motions. It wasn't a lot of discussion, so I wasn't able to see what they discussed in those meetings.
Anything else? How about you?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
a couple of things I would like to say. Ms. Williamson, thank you for your presentation. I also did a little of my research. I always like to do that. I know some questions were raised about some things that may have been said or may not have been said. I don't know. Wasn't privy to those conversations. But I did do some research on all four of them. Mr. Wallington, in his service to our country,
Yes,
as well as a successful businessman
yes.
and a professional baseball player. Also, Mr. Dillard, done some research on him and, you know, and the contributions he made through education to this county. Also looked at Ms. Jeffries, and I was quite impressed. Back in 1911, where she was put on trial.
Actually, needs to be updated. The trial took place in 1913.
Okay, 1913. I was kind of impressed. She was tried by an all-male white jury.
Yes.
And the judge was also a white male. And at the end of the trial, he stepped down, defended her cause, and overrode the decision.
Correct.
I also went through and looked at Ms. Gatewood and did some looking into her stuff. And I found something interesting. As late as July the 5th, 2024, there was an WXII 12 did a piece on her work.
Yes.
Where they where her work is on display at the Blowing Rock Arts and Historical Museum there.
Correct.
There was also a building, there is a building named after her at UNCG in Greensboro.
Yes.
I found out that she actually has a scholarship there for up and coming
Artists.
juniors and seniors that want to pursue an artist career.
Yes.
And looking through her paintings and stuff like that, I did find several paintings where she had depicted tobacco fields, tobacco barns, and I saw a couple of photos where she was smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
So I appreciate everything that you did in your presentation. No further, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Rose.
Anyone else?
One or two questions.
Yes.
I believe going back to your presentation, our last meeting, that the Arts Council will own this mural for 10 years. Am I
Yes, sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
After that 10-year time period, what becomes of this mural?
After that,
Yes.
then we can have another discussion. Either it can stay there and we can continue maintaining it, or it transfers over. I mean, I don't know yet, but that is something that we can definitely discuss after the 10-year time period, or even before, so that we know what everybody expects after that 10-year time period.
What assurance can you give this board that if it was to go along with the Art Council's request, that once that mural is in place, that it will not be updated or changed as the Art Council so desires? Once, because you will own it, as you say.
Right, right. We, personally speaking, that's not something that we want to do. And also that would be interfering with the, correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, but the artist also will own the ownership, if you will, of his creative process for that. We're using federal monies to put this mural up on the wall. And I don't think that they would appreciate us making any changes.
One last question. Has the Art Council looked at locations that are privately owned and not public building with no success?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Has anyone reached out to the historical building on the Coast Square? Wasn't Malt Gatewood associated with that building at one time?
Which building on the
The house on the side.
Are you talking about the house where the Historical Association is located?
Yes.
That's her house where she was born.
Have you thought about putting the mural on that house?
No,
Why not?
we just haven't had that conversation. And a mural of this type, we were just basically looking at large-scale brick walls within this community.
Well, again, I can go with 3 out of 4 of the figures that you've chosen, but I cannot support one with Ms. Gatewood on it. But my next question is for our county attorney. When Coast Square was purchased, didn't the town of Yanceyville provide part of the money for the purchase of that?
Commissioner Dickerson, I'll have to research that. That was my understanding,
That
but
was my understanding as well. If they are part owner in that building, they provided the money. How come they have not been brought into the conversation on whether it's allowed to be put on there?
I could research that for you, Commissioner Dickerson. I know when the economic developer was hired several years ago, there was a joint venture between the town and the county to provide that salary. But as far as ownership of the building, I'll be glad to research that and report that back
I
to
believe
this
it
board.
was $30,000, if memory serves me correctly. So if they got skin in the game, I don't think this board is the sole decision maker for what takes place on that wall. At the very least, they should be consulted, in my opinion, before we move forward.
Yes, sir.
You finished?
And I think this board should have the town of Yanceyville consulted before we make any decision on this. They put money on that building, and they are entitled to have a say on what goes on the side of it.
Ms. Gwen?
I feel the same way. We need to consult with before we see.
So this is a motion you guys want to put on the
Yeah,
table?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion made to table this. So
Ms. Williams,
The town of Yanceyville, because they provided part of the money for that building before we make a decision on it.
until the county attorneys research this and come back before the board, we'll just motion to table this, right?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, just have one question. Are you on a deadline or something? Can you tell us when?
It takes 30 days for us to get the materials.
Mhm.
And then it'll take another 3 to 4 weeks for us to paint it, and it needs to be completed by the 31st of December.
I have no issue with speaking with the town, but I would like to see if we go ahead and make arrangements for them to be brought up to speed on this and see what their board has to say on it as soon as we can.
Ms. Williams, I understand you said 30 days.
30 days, yeah.
Okay. Y'all heard the motion? We're gonna vote on it. Any questions before we vote? Any more? We'll start with you, Rose, down there.
I don't understand why we can't vote as a board on our approval and then have the town consulted to get their approval.
So you want to vote on it as a board, and then if they don't get enough, we can table this one.
That's not the
Well,
motion. That's not the motion. from
Mr.
the board.
Jeffries, first, we got a motion on the
Yeah,
on the floor here that we got to take care of.
So how you feel, Mr. Rose, yes or no?
Make a motion to table Mr. Dickerson's motion and make a motion to, all right. I'm gonna say no.
How about you? How about you?
Yes.
Yes. How about,
Yes.
Yes.
so the motion to table is approved, it passed. So now we have a motion on the floor, we can put a motion on the floor to approve this.
I'll make a motion to approve the bill. Let them, the Arts Council proceed.
With the,
You heard the
with the,
motion?
with the
Can I get a
approval,
second?
with the approval of the town.
With the approval.
This motion on the floor with approval of the town also, we got a motion and a second.
Second.
All in favor saying aye? We start down here. Ms.
No.
Quinn? Aye. Mr. Dixon?
What is the motion?
To approve it with the town approval.
No.
Okay.
No.
Oh,
No.
no? I vote yes.
No.
No. So the noes have it. We have to wait until the town.
Wait a minute.
So we make
Uh-huh.
it, put this
That's
back on
four.
the agenda.
Would you vote, Mr. Chairman? It's 4, and 3 against.
Yes or no?
I didn't vote either way. I think I did. Yeah, I said I vote over the rest of it, yeah. So we'll put it back on the agenda for the next 30 days. For the next meeting, we have it back on the agenda.
I don't
We
think
should
she
put
understood
back
what you
we
were asking.
need by the next-
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on forward. Fiscal year 23, the order contact date change. Ms. Scott? So you can't hear?
can't hear.
What'd you say?
What did you end up doing on that vote? We cannot hear you down here.
I end up voting with the person that said we're gonna do it. I didn't vote no, I voted yes, if you asked me for my,
Well, that's 4-3.
We voted to do it with the town approved.
yeah.
That,
So it
Well, I
passed.
voted.
okay, can we take a 5-minute break?
Yes, sir, if you want to, we'll take 5 minutes break. Okay, next on the agenda is, business year of 23, ordinance contract date change, Mr. Scott.
Yes, sir. Find it here. So the audit, fiscal year 23 audit was approved on February 5th. And they speculatively had hoped that that would be completed and submitted by the end of May, which at this point we know has not been completed. So this is very similar to that audit item you had 3 meetings ago, where you extended the date. There's no change in service, there's no change in scope. It just extends the date. So we are requesting that the date be extended to February 28th, 2025, which is a fiscal year end date for all those contracts. Obviously, it won't take that long, but if it does take longer, then we don't have to come back and get an extension on the date. The interim finance director is here if you have deeper questions, but staff recommends approval to extend the audit deadline. We have to do the audit one way or the other, so extending the contract with the current auditor is a wise recommendation.
Okay, y'all heard coming from the county manager. Anyone got any questions on the board?
Yes, sir.
All right.
And I hate to keep hashing over this, Mr. Camp, but we were told that the 22 audit and the 23 audit were more or less going to be piggybacked together. Soon as one's done, the other one's right behind. What happened?
So I don't want to speak for our NCACC representative because they work for us for free, but I did send a list of questions and items on all of these recent issues. As far as the audit goes, they're struggling right now because there's so many things that are messed up and taking a lot of time to unravel. The library's item took 20 hours to get straight because it was so messed up for so many years. They're currently working on the cooperative extension and senior services right now. They're both complete messes. The PSAP 911 funds have been taking a great deal of time as well. It's going to be at least a 200,000 hit to the general fund. It's impacting future funding. Of course, there's family services, issues with payroll, salary allocations. They cannot complete the fiscal year 23 audit until these items are cleaned up, not to mention being unable to spend some funds because they have not been properly accounted for or budgeted for in previous years. The opioid funds had not been accurately accounted for 2 years, but are now accurate and complete. She's trying to correct 3 years of improper accounting, which cannot be fixed overnight. I would say that I have personally never seen any finance people work as diligently and extremely hard to correct any type of situation like this. I've also never had a situation like this myself. If there's a different way you would like to handle this, I'm all ears to your recommendation. That would probably entail private third parties. I know I had a recent records request about the audit firm and the accounting services. Last year, we spent $129,000 just on the accounting firm. So some of these items I've tabled until those experts can come before you. There is a reason our consultant has a personal family stuff. Obviously, I can't have, I mean, I guess if they're willing to participate via Zoom or something, we can go that route. But until we get that ability to have them here, it's really difficult to present and do work when someone's out for family emergencies. But yeah, the audit needs to be completed. Basically, when you get into the year-end close, one of my, I've got a list of items that you've asked me for, and one of those includes you want to see some of the quarterly expenditure reports. And I asked, can we do one through the end of June, or maybe get to the next quarterly reports not till October? And my response is they can do a report for June or through August. None of those are going to be accurate until they have accurate year-end closing figures. So giving you numbers that are not actual and valid, I feel like I'm not going to urge them to do that. If you wish for me to have them produce that, they will gladly do that for us. I think it's hard. There's only 2 or 3 people working on all of this. It's going to take some time. So yeah, I felt like I sent the state a letter stating that hopefully the 23 audit will be, done before the end of September and into October. I don't know if that's feasible. That's the information that I got, and I passed that on to you. So I'm not actively personally doing that work. I can only go on what I'm being informed.
The problem I have with it is that this board was told when 22 is done, 23 is right behind it. And now we're being told something completely different.
Yeah, and the consultant is telling you that, and I've provided that in writing from them, and that's what I am hoping to see as well. I don't know what to do to correct that. I could hire some more people to help. That has a pretty stiff cost to it. We do have the accounting 1 position interviews coming up. We do have the payroll position. So some of those functions we're doing in-house because we're short-staffed, but those don't have anything to do with the audit and the day-to-day. That's mostly the 3 people we have in finance. And I mean, I have to praise the staff we have doing the work they're doing. It's a lot. And they're doing it correctly, but it's a lot of work to clean up. Yes, sir. So we can try to find a finance director. I've, brought forth the CFO. That's coming from the recommendation of the association.
That's not the question.
They are not currently involved. We paid them out through the end of the year. Last year, we spent about 130,000. So they're not into the accounting portion of this. We're in the year-end closeout.
Is this on? The only thing that the Isley Group is working on is the general bank account and the fixed assets. Yes. Mhm. I mean, we've been continually paying them.
So why is it taking the Isley how many years? We that screwed up in the finance department?
Yes, sir. When you, well, I don't want to speak on that, but when we were 5 years behind on bank statements being reconciled, that takes a lot. Since I've been here for 3.5 years, I have done nothing but identify items that weren't recorded. We had to identify before they could reconcile.
I was told yes. We had 5 years.
Oh, Isley has them current, they're up to 2024 now. And so they are now, but they weren't. They weren't. Mhm. The general bank account only, that's our Fidelity account. Everything runs through there. And fixed assets. Those are the only 2 things that they're helping us with. We've brought everything else back. We're hoping not long. Like, I don't want to give you a time because you'll come back at me on that. But, but we have been trained on the bank reconciliation in Munis because previously they were all done on spreadsheets. And that's really not
reconciling on spreadsheets. You got to do it in your system. So we are in the process of getting that started. And Jonna said it won't be long and we're pulling it back to do it ourselves.
How much money have we paid in so far?
Well, I just pulled for the public record request. And from when they started, I'm not sure. I can look that up and tell you, but for 23, July 1 of 23 to the current, was it 129?
Yeah, 129. They're
Just
still
for-
going back to get this straight to 2017 figures and budgets.
Yeah.
I was told in the beginning, and it's probably in the minutes too, that the Isley Group was gonna do this job for $50,000.
But
I said, go ahead and get them to do it.
I believe in the beginning, no one knew what kind of shape the books were in, as bad a shape that the books. Because we're still discovering stuff as we go through them.
One question I got, Ms. Miller. And I do appreciate everything the LGC has done. I appreciate everything John has done. I guess my question is this, is how many hours are being dedicated to this problem? Reason I'm saying that is, I didn't mean to cut you off. If you're devoting 20 hours a week to it, well, it's gonna take a while. But if more time is being devoted to it, the
No,
quicker we can get it
when
done.
he said 20 hours a week, that was just 20 hours that week on one department. That's not the only thing that was worked on that week.
Right.
I could get you a figure on the amount of hours that Jonna works on Caswell because she works just about every weekend on Caswell. And she's usually here once a week until this family emergency happened. And we're constantly teams and working on things, but on top of that, I have to keep finance running.
Right.
So I got to do the daily stuff.
Understand.
We're trying. I mean, honestly,
And-
no one wants to see this wrapped up any faster than we
Right.
do.
And I understand that. And like I said, I do appreciate everything she has done and everything the LGC has done. It's helping us out. It doesn't, at no cost. I guess we're all in the same boat on this board as you are. We want to see it wrapped
I
up.
want to see it done. I mean, we're trying to fix years of mess ups. And you guys are wanting it done in a short amount of time and we're trying.
All right, this next question I have is, if you're going down a road with bad practices, okay, and you find out, let's say 23, what the problem is. From 23 until current, how are those practices being corrected? So you're still not going down that path?
And that's what's taken us so long too, because when we discover what the issue is, we figure out the best practice to fix it. We fix that year. Well, we fix 23, 24, and make sure we're doing it the same way in 25. So 23 is really our stumbling block because we've ran across issues with a few departments. That's what has been causing us to slow down. We have to get those right. So when we move to the next year, the problem's already fixed. We're fixing everything as we go ahead of time.
Okay. Is there any way that you would be able to, or somebody be able to advise this board at our meetings of what has been done that week concerning what problems you found and how it was corrected, rather than us get frustrated and then call you up and then
You
fuss
want
at
us
you.
to share our frustrations with you.
But I mean, like I've heard a couple of departments mention that there were some issues. Well, let the board know this is what we are finding. This is what we have had to correct.
Oh, yeah.
So we kind of got an idea of
So
different things.
you
that
would
have-
like an update of what we've discovered and fixed every meeting?
I
So
would-
like every
I would
2.
love it.
Okay.
Thank you. No further.
I'm not trying to have you really don't.
It's okay.
I appreciate what you're doing, but I am disgusted with this item. Always say it work. I know you're a county manager, to put up fire, get your stuff.
Jonna has put a fire under them because it's probably, I don't know how long, but that's why she has pulled the majority of the stuff back, because she's trying to get down the hours that they're billing us. So I don't think we're gonna honestly have Isley very much longer. I don't want to give you a time, but it's in the works to get rid of them.
So we're currently trying to hire an accountant one, and they wouldn't come in and be onboarded, trained to do like their general job. They're going to be pulled in to help them reconcile, go through the bank statements. They're going to help specific pieces for their initial term with us, which will help alleviate some of that backlog. But it's, again, it's when you have an expert looking at it, it doesn't help to bring 3 other people in and explain to them how to do it when you just got
And
to work through it.
Jonna has over 30 experience, and you've seen how good she is with things. When she's coming across things that stumps her and takes her a long time to figure out, you just can't pull in anybody to help with those situations without costing us a fortune.
Well, I want to reiterate that I'm not hammering you. I appreciate what you did.
That's fine.
I just want to fire put on that Isley group, because it's been, how many years?
I know,
And how many thousand more dollars has it put?
but it takes time to fix years of errors of poor accounting.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Anybody, is anybody down? Hey, ma'am, don't leave yet. Ms. Gwen, you want to question?
Isley, I'll have to pull up their last invoice to look. I don't know that by heart. Oh, I'm sure it's less than 40. Because we just have one person now. We just have one person doing fixed assets and one person doing recon. Okay, but I can find that out for you.
These are in addition to the regular fee.
Excuse me?
These are in addition to the regular fee.
You got one.
They invoice us by hours that they work.
Wait, hold, one
No,
minute.
mine's for the county manager. Mr. Bazarez, you made the comment, what you were reading, that it took 20 hours to fix something from the library.
Just to fix the library item that you approved
And
last
that
meeting.
now they're working on some problems with extension and some other department. Am I correct?
Yeah, the extension office, senior services. So like just today, one of our staff pulled all the 911 records going back to the date they need. They have to pull basically go through and redo several years to find the discrepancy and then put that all in to get it accurate, because you're working off of errors from 2017 in that department.
Well, my question is any of the problem, and I'm not saying that it is any of the problem related to the way that maybe departments are submitting some of their expenses?
A lot of the departments operated, they're state funded, they're federally, public health. They weren't working off of the Munis program that we now have. So now we're making all the departments work from Munis and the budget the county operates under. So all the grants have to be tied back. They have to reconcile them back in. You can't have 2 different sets of books and expect everything to be done appropriately. And this item's about the CFO reclassification. And I'll just kind of state this: advertising the former position would not attract what the county needs to not end up right back in the same place where we were without. That job description was written to the capabilities of a person in the job, not the capabilities needed for the correct person to have in finance. And if you want us to go with that new job description and not change the pay scale, we can get that posted. But I think it's paramount. This is in all counties. The finance director is probably the most important position in city and county government.
Now, one other comment I believe you made in the statement you were reading, there was a figure in there of $200,000. Could you elaborate on that number a little bit?
Again, it's an error we found. I'll have Melissa come up.
I think the $200 balance you mentioned was 911. Okay, we have found a discrepancy going back to 2016, 17, that the fund balance that the state and the fund balance that we had did not match. And I'm not going to quote exact figures because I can't remember them right offhand. But as of right now, the 911 communications are not receiving their monthly allotments because the state thinks we have a really large fund balance in 911. However, our financial statements only show that the fund balance is less than $100,000. And the annual report was brought to me to sign off on, but John and I could not match the figures that our book showed to what the state had. So Jonna refused to let me sign that form until the books matched. So Jonna went back and reconciled from 2006, found that the year 2016-17 was off. We went down through our books, we call it the dungeon, and pulled out all the documentation that we could find. And then today, Tanya Fuller actually found a file cabinet that had all of the 911 communication back records. So now we can go and prove to the state, because that includes the invoices, to be able to back everything up. Because if we can't prove it, then the general fund is going to owe 911 money. And that's what we're trying to avoid. But we have to go back clear to 2016-17. This is just one of the things that is taking up our time. We're trying to save you guys money to prove it out, but it takes time. Yes. Sorry, is that everything?
Anyone have any questions? Thank you, Mr. Summer. We need a motion to approve this contract or the date change. Do we need a motion to approve that? All right, what's the pleasure? Somebody make a motion. Motion made by Tim, second by Rick. Y'all heard the motion? Any more comments? Okay, all in favor saying aye? All nay? Ayes have it, approved. Next on the agenda will be reclassifying the finance director position be tabled. Budget amendment from the sheriff department also be tabled for a later date. Next on the agenda will be the county manager update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I was given some direction to provide more information and reporting. So I pulled the former manager, 2 managers ago report that was provided to this board, and I just threw that together today. So this is the most current up to date. The first thing, elevator pre-work in the new courthouse. So the contractor was here today. They're doing some alarms, electrical pre-work, so that when they get here in December to do the final elevator stuff, it's not going to be an untimely project. The Brightspeed Great Grant was finalized last week. So Spectrum had done that quite a bit of time ago, but so now all the contracts on the fiber are approved and completed. So I think we're good from a funding, having the state pay for all that. I had emailed you all this color swatch last week, and I got feedback that the light blue, like the Co-Square building, is the selection. I can pass this out if you want to choose a different color. That's fine, but this is for the post office and the clerk's office and animal control. The awarded contract vendor is wanting to have a color choice so they can order this stuff and get it up. So the light blue color on here matches the Co-Square almost to a T. It is the post office, and they're usually blue. So if you give me a direction on this tonight, the public works director is here, and I could have him give more specific updates. The TDA committee meeting, I want to thank the finance liaison and the interim finance director. We met with the TDA. There are some compliance issues. We got them on task for doing the things to assist them with having our audit, look at their stuff. So it saves them a lot of headache that they were doing. Again, these areas that really should have been held in-house. We're doing that. The Piedmont Electric membership meeting last week, I think the three of us, the deputy county manager and I, met with their new general manager. We talked about long-term planning, their strategic goals for the county from an electrical side. And then I do have a personnel update. Jonna was going to provide the personnel update, but she hasn't been here for a few meetings. We are interviewing Thursday for the payroll position. They've done several rounds of interviews, have not found the right, maybe not the right fit yet, we don't think. And then the accounting one position will be interviewing shortly. I won't be here on Wednesday due to a medical issue. And then I do in advance want to make you notice, I have time off plans moving one of our households in Colorado. We're moving our stuff to storage and my wife needs my assistance September 30th to October 4th. So I will be in Colorado doing that move. I also have an event October 10th and 11th. I've arranged all these things around the county meeting. But I do want to start providing you a format in writing, which the only thing I didn't address earlier on some of this sheet was on the quarterly report. Again, I don't want to give you numbers that aren't accurate, and until they have the year end, I can't provide you that quarterly report from the financials. I don't like that, but we're working to get that addressed and resolved. And they said they could generate me a report. I don't think that helps if it's not accurate. So I would prefer to not give you inaccuracies. That's all the items I have, unless you have questions. The maintenance director's here. There's a lot of projects. We're doing paving projects, HVAC projects, several roofs. It's busy. It's a good time to be busy. We continue to have problems with Yanceyville. The sewer line at this building and the extension has backed up at least 6 times since I've been working here. The pipe is failed. They need to line it. We keep pressuring the mayor and the manager to do something because it's not on our end. So I don't want that to be a surprise if you hear from them. I think that's all the short updates I had.
Any questions for anybody on the board for county manager?
Just one thing, looking on your updates, I didn't hear you highlight it. Maybe I was not listening well. The Brightspeed Great Grant, it says that Spectrum had contracted previously. Is this the one that Zytel was awarded to start with?
Yes, sir.
Did Spectrum have it and give it up?
So they were waiting.
To say that it's Brightspeed gonna do it now.
So Brightspeed was waiting on us to do the match forms. And the director at the state level said, oh, you're not required to do a match. Well, we already obligated a match to Spectrum and to Brightspeed from the Zytel contract. It was $250 originally. Spectrum's doing it for $10,000. I submitted it with 0 because they said you don't need to match it. So trying to save the county money. And they said, oh, so you're not going to part. And I said, no, that's not what we're doing. So we've sent them in the 10,000. That was what we did with Spectrum, and they've executed the contract. So they were waiting for about 3 weeks just to get that form. So that's all been handled and taken care of. I'm not sure how many households that affects, probably like 300, maybe. But yeah, so that's all of our broadband contracts are in place and executed. So they'll be.
Just remember with the break grant, we didn't have a choice to pick who we would get.
Okay, thank you.
And then if you could give me a direction on the color, if the light blue is acceptable, I could just do that. If you want something different.
Is the light blue the color of the current county building?
The current Co-Square building and several of the other, it's similar to this roof, but not quite as faded. Isn't this?
Light blue, I think they use red.
So I mean, I normally, I don't want to pick a color and everybody goes, wow, that's really special.
If we're getting a consensus of the board, I say if we already got a couple buildings that's got the blue, I'd vote just to go with the blue to match it, in my opinion.
mean, I could pass this out.
If y'all will give Mr. Jeffers just a second here, he'll be back.
Other, here he is.
Okay. I think we're ready for.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, Matt is asking for consensus on the color they don't use on the post office and all. Color chart.
Actually vote for the consent.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
How you feel about that? How'd you?
Light blue.
Me?
Okay,
Fine. Always have a
so consensus, light blue.
Thank you. Do it.
Okay, we'll make that happen. Thank you.
That's it. Okay. Next on the commission, are you through, Scott? You finished?
Yes, sir.
Next on the agenda be commission comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody that came out tonight to the meeting, everybody that spoke in public comment. I will say this, and it's probably a consensus of this board. Y'all don't know how tired we are of dealing with this audit. We want it done as quick as anybody, especially the ones that are watching out there tonight. There's probably ways we could do it, but it's probably gonna cost us a pretty penny of taxpayer dollars. And I'm all about saving taxpayer dollars. I wish I could snap my fingers today and it would be over. But I do like the fact that we can get some updates from finance as far as problems that you found, how you corrected them, and if we're in a deficit or if we're in the good. And I'm a little bit leery on the 911 until I see something different that says we're in the good. Because most time the state says they're never wrong. That's all I have.
Rick? You have it there? That's your down.
When? You have anything?
You have anything? Okay, we'll move on then. Okay, update event coming up to September 28th, 2024. Ripe leaf hold down. Good food, people. That's where everybody eats good. Anyway, October the 7th, 2024, the Board of Commission meeting, 6:30 p.m. at the historic courthouse. I need a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Motion made by, second by Dixon. All in favor saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Vote now sets in closed session.
See you, John. See you, John. See you.